Yeah, actually, on the day she is having some stomach issues. So
Okay.
now okay, madam, no problem.
That's good, sir. That's good, sir.
Yeah, first of all, on behalf of GMR Institute of Technology, Department of EC, madam, we are very fortunate to have you as a resource person for learning Python to all the students. Actually, we have not only this program was not only for our students; it was arranged for outside participants also. Definitely, I got a feedback from Arun Shekhar and also Sudhakar and other students also. You are almost you are blending the both theory and practice. I think it's a very good mode of delivery. Usually, people in the workshops and everywhere generally will concentrate on theory part and later on we'll ask them to practice later. I think that will be forever. It will be there only, but no one will. Usually, very 50% of the people will practice, but very patiently, you are making all the students to learn Python to the greater level. Really, very much we are very much thankful to you, madam, for accepting our request and providing your services to train our students and learn and which is a very good now very good platform, I can say. During this COVID situation, we are you are sparing your valuable time with all the people here. And once again, on behalf of GMR Institute of Technology, I would like to express my sincere thanks to you, madam, for accepting. And really, I don't know what words I should say for these many hours spending as a service. Is really a great thing. I'm very much thankful to you, madam. I think I don't want to, almost all students are waiting for your lecture. I think you can proceed further, madam. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir.
Right.
Thank you. Andarki namaskaram, Reverend dignitaries
You
of the
know
great.
Telugu, madam?
Yes, sir. Yes. I know
Okay,
Telugu,
very,
sir.
very, very good, very good. Thank you very much, madam. Thank you very
Thank
much.
you. Reverend dignitaries of the great institution, respected HOD, sir of the EC department, thank you so much for your kind words. I appreciate it wholeheartedly. You can call me by my name, Meeru Pettaval kada.
No,
You don't
okay.
need to call me madam. Thank you, sir. Anyways, dear Dr. Arun, sir, and all the dedicated professors and staff members, and always my dear darling, curious kids, Andariki Namaskaram once again. Let's move on to the first slide of the day, rather the second slide. First slide was the title slide. Welcome to another very perfect day to learn Python's extensive standard library. Why are we seeing the advantages of Python on the third day? Don't we know all of this already? We have seen much of it, the first day and the second day. Yes, but we must mention that one prime reason behind Python's popularity is the presence of third-party modules and its extensive support libraries. Even yesterday, we saw a third-party tool when we actually used the PDF from our GMRIT. We used the curriculum and then we split the file, right? So there are much, much more modules. There are much more libraries for all of us to, get used to, which is why learning Python is essential and it's easy and it's, going to definitely get you placed well if in case you are interested in pursuing in information technology, in the field, not only in information technology field, and even other fields, other people, people that are into data science that are not hardcore programmers also are utilizing Python skills and a few other language skills. So as engineering graduates, please pay more attention. It's always going to be helpful. Okay, so as always, there is going to be a few slides only, and we'll be mostly checking out on the practical side. All these slides are going to be your notes, so do not be concerned about whether it's small and it's very difficult for you to look up from YouTube. Don't worry about that as of now. Let's move on to the next slide. This is OSModule, Operating System Module. Okay, this helps to make Python programs platform independent. More importantly, operating system independent. This example explains, the example that I have listed explains the, it actually gets the number of bytes taken by the non-directory files in each directory. It actually excludes CVS, it's just leaving behind CVS or the current version. A concurrent version system. Usually we see that in Unix environment. If you're not familiar with it, do not worry about it. It's just a code snippet that is freely available from the official Python documentation. It's detailed. You always refer to Python documentation since it's detailed. It's free and most important, it's up to date. All right, my dears. Let's move on to slide number 4. This is the CSV module. I have a lot of programs to show today, like a lot of Python code to show today. So, which is why I'm just kind of, do not worry. We'll be going over things again and again. So, CSV is comma separated values. File format is the most, common import and export format for spreadsheets, databases. All right. Let's rethink about parsing lines of a CSV file. So I have like 2 examples, it's going to be very interesting. So each of, in this example, I have some, like just a couple of lines here, but, there's more code there. We'll be seeing in the practical part. Each of the 3 traditional operating systems, okay? That is, for example, you take Unix or Linux, you have to be following definitely \n, which is new line character. Microsoft Windows style is again \n, or you can also give the carriage written or the R character. Some of these are basics that are already being taught, starting from C language. So there's so much, so much to know, so much to cover. Some of the basics I'm going to be giving you the sites you can always refer. All right. So then if it's Mac OS, it's going to be \R. That's the carriage. That's the classic style. So where \n and \R are conventional escape sequences, what happens is, the ASCII character line feed, LF and CR, the carriage return, they are, it has to be properly understood. Otherwise, what happens is, it won't be able to read the lines properly. Our Python CSV module, okay, usually there are, provisions given for like different platforms. So functions are there to both read and write such files, regardless of the operating systems in which the CSV file is. Usually, whenever any software comes, they have to be platform independent. Somebody was asking me the other day about, if Java is great. Yeah, definitely Java was, a hit because of the WORA, write once and, run anywhere. It's platform independent, all of that, right? So, isn't that nice? Now, sniffer class, is something that we need to know. Sniffer class is used to deduce or, sniff the format of the CSV file. So it returns the dialect, usually, it just checks, which, like sniffing means like, like a sniffer dog kind of thing, right? That's a common term. Usually most of the computer terms, they always have something related, it's not just any name, not like naming us, not like naming people. These names are literally, like it means something. So please pay attention to that. Yesterday, someone was asking me to explain more on exception. Yesterday, I wanted to show that, however, due to some network issues here, I wasn't able to share my screen. I'm going to be showing that. Always do not get into the details of the definition of anything. Please remember the famous movie, Bollywood movie, right? Actor Amir Khan's movie, 3 Idiots. He says, right, most of the definitions, all of the things have to be simplified. So that's one, when you get to practically, applying things, most of the theory part would never help. So that's why I'm not too much into like forcing, please learn this definition, except for like the most important thing. Like if somebody asks you to define, what is artificial intelligence, at least you should be able to like quote a few terminology. Otherwise, you can always, express in free language, whether it's your beautiful Telugu or, like a commonly used English or Hindi, whatever, So do not be concerned about, specific definitions. Like exception means what? Errors that are predefined. That's all you need to worry about. So in addition to Python standard CSV modules, pandas, we'll be learning that in the subsequent, course. Pandas also provides options to read and write. Data frames, data frames are read, okay, not just one line, like frames of data are read to and from the CSV file. So let's move on to the next slide, which is the Sys Module slide. Sys Module provides access to system-specific parameters, okay? It's usually maintained by the interpreter. We know that Python is run by the interpreter. There are provisions to make it run as if it's, like a Python compiler. So, which is why in the first day I showed you a list of, C, Python, there's so many things. So much to know, every day, as a programmer we learn. You kids, you are still very young. You have to keep on learning, all right? That doesn't mean, you should not sleep. Please sleep well. Only then your brain will develop, your body will function well, eat well, okay? Enjoy life a little bit, meaning, relax for some time and learn. But whatever you're learning, please learn with interest and thoroughly. Just for the sake of passing exams, that's not going to help, my dears, in life, okay? We have to, understand what we are learning. All right, good kids, you'll definitely do that. Now, most important thing that I wanted to mention in here is the path, okay? The functions, there are so many functions, so many things, but in Sys Module, usually Sys Module's path value is a list of strings. I have an example I'll be showing you in a little while that specifies the search path for the modules. Sys.path is initialized from the environment variable. Usually when we go to Windows or Unix or any OS for that operating system for that matter, you would have to actually initialize the environment variables. Okay, now stdin, these are all some things that we already know from like primitive languages like C, right? In C++, we might have learned C in, C out, those are all the libraries. Now, stdin is used for all interactive input, including the calls to input. That's why I mentioned it here. Again and again, I'm reiterating, do not be concerned about what's given in the slide. Even if you're not able to see that, please listen to what I'm saying now. These slides would be sent finally by our dear Dr. Arun sir. Eventually, all of them will be your notes. You can use that as a cheat sheet. Now, std out likewise is used for the output of print and expression statements and for the prompts of input. The interpreter's own prompts and its error message go to stderr. So these are some things that we need to remember. Those are not new to anyone that would have, like known a little bit of programming, starting from C. C is a very strong language. Even today, C++, yesterday there was the news, C++ is again gaining popularity. That's what they said. It's not again gaining, it's always popular. It's just too difficult, for everyone to understand when compared to, easy language like Python. Python is very easy. So we are fortunate. Please focus. This is very easy. Keep that word in mind. It's easy, I can learn, that kind of thing. That's the attitude that you should just keep always in your mind. Now, SYS platform, as I mentioned in the yellow box. So SYS platform, this string contains a platform identifier that can be used to append platform specific components to sys.path, for instance. Okay, now let's move on to the next slide. Okay, so it's sqlite. It's the C library. Again, it's C programming library that provides a lightweight disk-based database that does not require a separate server process. Please make sure that you understand this. It does not require a separate server process. Very important. Okay, and it allows accessing the database and uses a non-standard variant of the SQL language. Yesterday, I thought, when I was explaining PLSQL, I thought, you all might have known some Oracle or, something. Usually the exceptions, try, catch, those are all like, I learned it 25 years ago. So, it should be there, which is why I always reference that. Okay. Let's just, because there's so much more important things to know in Python. That's why I don't want to get into the, basics, like basic, that's like real basics that anyone should know. Now, what is this? First, in the code that's in red, okay, what happens, in the red box, red text box, we say that there is a connection object. First, there is a connection object that's created, and to represent the database, what happens is the data gets stored in the SQL. It's getting stored in the SQLite. You can it's SQL, or you can just SQLite python.db for usage in this case, and in this example that I've mentioned. That's why I'm just referring that. So dears, please, you see something called as PEP. Always, if I had taken this from someplace, I might have mentioned the link. Even if you're not able to see this, you will be able to see the link. Please feel free. There are so many resources. Do not rely on what I am saying or anyone is saying. You can always check it yourself. I need that interest in you all forever, because we always go and check, not, there's so much to know. There's so much more to know. Okay, so PEPs are Python Enhancement Project. Yesterday, I tried to show you, in the future, okay, if at all, we think that, some new enhancement, could be done to our dear Python, then we can share, anyone can share with the community. All right, my dear children, keep up your curiosity to learn. You're all born into this world itself, that itself is an enhancement, okay? Keep on enhancing this world of yours with your creative thinking. This is always going to be better for every person and every life that's in here. Now, why have I mentioned that? This part is, this SQLite itself was part of the Python Enhancement Project 0249. When you click on that link, again, all of this is from python.org. Starting from the first day, I've been referencing the same website. Use that as your starting thing. All of those questions that, most of them posted, all of that, those are just, like you Google, it just lists out, you don't have to wait for, this question to be asked on a webinar, okay? You can ask. I mean, I'm not doing, asking you to do not ask me questions. Please keep on asking questions. I love it. But most of them are like real basic questions. You can just go on Google. That's how you should not wait for anyone to tell you. You have to be able to tell others. That's exactly what I'm trying to tell here. Okay. Now, going on to our next slide. This is SMTPLIB. Okay. Simple Mail Transfer Protocol, SMTP, is a set of communication guidelines. I'm not sure if you're able to see all of the fine print. Do not worry, just look at the architecture that's in there. This is just a mailing service. I want to do, this is like a pictorial representation of from where your mail is sent and from how it, gets, distributed. So basically getting to know the background process that's happening, right? Now, SMTP is a set of communication guidelines to transmit email over the internet. Two other protocols, POP3, Post Office Protocol 3, and IMAP, Internet Message Access Protocol. These are used for retrieving and storing email. Python's SMTP LIB module defines an SMTP client session object that can be used to send emails to any internet machine with an SMTP or eSMTP listener daemon. Okay, again, daemon, that's a term. Okay, there is a lot of predefined exceptions, again, exceptions, okay, that one could encounter. Like, for example, SMTP exception, server disconnected exception. These are all predefined error messages. So when you expect such a message, what could be done, what can be, in case you want to actually get it in your code and you can process in your own way. So that's why these are all predefined, okay? So some of them are response exception, sender refused, recipients received, refused by the recipients refused, and sender refused, recipients refused, and data error, connect error, hello error, not supported error, so on and so forth, like authentication error. So the code that I have on the right, that's the yellow code, that's just the, we'll be seeing more code, but not probably the SMTP LIB module though. I'll be, teaching more of the other, because we have so much more modules today, all right, in all. Now, moving on to the next slide, threading module. Yay! Threading is one of my favorites. During multi-threading, what happens is multiple threads are spawned by a process to do different tasks at about the same time, just one after other. In multiprocessing, multiple processes are run. I have on towards the left side of the slide, you can see that there is multiprocessing and there's multi-threading. So I'm trying to explain multiprocessing right now. In multiprocessing environment, multiple processes are run across, CPU, multiple CPU cores that do not share the common resources. Keep in mind, all right? They don't share the common resources. Any single process can have as many threads running in its own memory space. Generally, multi-threading is better for IO-bound tasks like input-output operation, whereas multiprocessing is great for CPU-bound tasks. Okay? In Python, each process has its own instance of the Python interpreter. During the job of executing the instructions, running several threads is similar to several different programs running concurrently. Multiple threads within a process share the same data space with the main thread and can therefore share information or communicate with each other more easily, as if they were from separate processes. Threads are usually considered as lightweight processes and they do not require much memory overhead. A thread usually has a beginning, an execution sequence, and a conclusion. It has an instruction pointer that keeps track of where, within its context it's currently running. It can be preempted, interpreted, interrupted, not interrupted. And it can temporarily be put on hold as, it's usually called a sleeping mode, while other threads are running, and this is also called as yielding phase. So many terms to know. So all of us, do multi-threading during our day-to-day activities, right? So, talking and, eating and, so many. You can imagine this multiple things. Let's just move on to the queue model. Next would be the queue model. Interesting. Queue, a common literary term, it's a very common literary term used in India, right? Get on the queue, form a queue. So in the USA, it's usually referred as line. Super, right? In data structures terminology, we know queue is FIFO, first in, first out, and stacks are LIFO, last in, first out. So what makes any linear structure like stacks or queue different from, is where the addition and the removal occur. So the queue model in Python implements 3 different types of data structures. That's why I don't want to cover these kind of, someone asked me, like how would we implement these things? So I actually put in the comments of day 2, that is yesterday's thing. Honestly, I wasn't able to view the questions yesterday. I had to use my phone. There's so much things that I didn't disclose. There's so much of commotion yesterday. My apologies again for that. If it was, like real face-to-face, that's much more different, right? But this is, we have to adjust to the glitches in the network and so many other things. But anyways, what I was going to say was, please refer to the comments. If the questions needs more explanation, then I would have actually posted in appropriate articles or link pages. So during the during the 7 days thing, you can always refer back. So Python implements 3 different types of data structures. Those are FIFO, LIFO, and priority queue. Queue model is widely used in concordance with thread programming. Python's multiple, like multi-processing, right? Multi-processing module imports processes based upon parallelism. And this is also used for fully leveraging multiple processes on either Windows or Unix, you name it, the operating system. Multiprocessing supports 3 ways to start a process. Spawn, usually that's SPAWN, spawning is like creating. So that's the term. So like I said, every word would have a meaning. Please, please, please understand the meaning. Then it will be retained in your, like memory forever. Spawn is Windows or Unix or Mac OS based. Fork, when you call it as fork or fork server, that's Unix only, okay? In Spawn, the parent process starts a fresh Python interpreter process. The child process will only inherit those resources necessary. To run the process, objects use the run method. Method, function, these are all like, quite common words we use interchangeably. Spawn is rather slow when compared to fork and the fork server. Okay, sorry cuties, if it's too difficult, technical to understand, I always, want to rethink, before frightening little kids like you all, my apologies again. When you get to work, you will definitely know these terms would be like common terms that anyone would use, on day-to-day basis, or even if you don't, that's common, you would know. So as always, my dears, please refer to the official Python documentation. As a matter of fact, this code snippet that's in this was taken from there, as it's a token of appreciation to the large developer Python community. Even though the code resources are everywhere, I wanted to just take everything in there is free. All of that is verified. It's, otherwise if it's not right, then usually, somebody will be there to, like intimate. So please refer to python.org. Okay, let's move on to next slide. Spectacular. XML, extensible markup language. Yet another favorite of mine. So much technology talk today. So that's why I have to rush. Now, XML was designed to store and transport small to medium amounts of structured data. Python actually can parse and modify an entire XML document at once instead of line by line, as long as the document is in memory. Well, data security. Since XML modules are not secure against the malicious data, an attacker can abuse XML features. Always there are hackers. Yesterday, also, as a matter of fact, I believe there was some kind of hacking activity because there's going to be online schools, all over United States. Most of in the East Coast, schools started yesterday after their official summer break of 2 months. And before that, because of the COVID lockdown, but they always had online classes. So school started yesterday. That's why there was so much of confusion yesterday morning. Here, school start as early as like 6:50, that kind of thing. So an attacker can abuse XML features to carry out denial of service attacks. Okay, they can access local files, they can generate network connections to other machines. Yesterday, I had the red thing highlighted. I thought my screen was sharing and I was explaining the code. However, it wasn't. I was puzzled myself, perplexed. I was wondering what's going on here. So we must be actually aware of the XML vulnerabilities. XML vulnerabilities, okay, among which the biggest will be in this slide, we have, I'm not sure if you're able to see the fine print, do not worry. This is again from Python. You can go to PyPy, yesterday I showed you, and part of the code is from there, information is in there. Now, we must be aware of the XML vulnerabilities, among which the billion laughs attack, that's the most vulnerable. It's also known as the exponential entity expansion, and uses multiple levels of nested entities. Each entity refers to another entity several times, and a final entity definition contains a small string. Like how you have, somebody can deceive you, like you open a package, there's a package inside, this package inside, that kind of thing. They can actually do these kind of things. Okay, these are all attacks that could happen. Now, the exponential expansion results in several gigabytes of text and consumes lots of memory and CPU time. Likewise, quadratic blow-up attack, okay, also abuses entity expansion. Instead of nested entities, it repeats one large entity with a couple of 1,000 characters over and over and over again and again. Oh my God. Okay. All right. So what is the workaround to overcome these vulnerabilities and keep our XML parsing functionable? The answer would be the diffused XML package, which I have in the blue. Do not worry, even if you don't see the code. Some child, she mentioned that she is not able to view the thing, so she's not able to understand. Do not worry, even if you see this, you won't be able to understand the first time. Nobody would, no super brain in the world would be able to understand. Even computers will be learning all that. Even artificial intelligent computers, they do millions of, they learn, keep on learning. They just, train themselves again and again. Only then they will be able to do the basic things that we do. As human beings, we're very super smart. So do not worry, whatever is listed in the blue thing would be talking in the blue text box, towards the right of the slide, is talking about diffused XML package. Okay. Now, please see the list of classes along with the methods that are in the diffused XML in the golden yellow text box. But again, those are small text. Do not worry about them. I'll be using most of those today in one very interesting example. That's a surprise for you all. So in a few minutes anyways, the surprise will be over. So the last slide of the day, okay, the theory part would be the logging module. Wonderful, right? So before we see the code, this will be the last slide. Logging.handlers module contains the classes like stream handler for logging output to streams, HTTP handler for logging output to a web server, file handler for logging to a disk file, SMTP handler to send log messages to an email address via SMTP. Okay, log information can be configured in 3 different ways. Those are creating loggers. Log information is very important in any software, yesterday also we saw, somebody asked me if I can use underscore, I'm going to be explaining some of that. That's why I'm rushing. So I was going to avoid those. Those are called as the dunder methods or the special methods. Those are not the essential thing that you need to know, because we generally don't recommend programmers to use this kind of thing. But some very curious, inquisitive child, he asked me, could we be using this? But we generally don't recommend. I have something to explain about that as well. So those are all what we saw yesterday, underscore, str. Those are all logging stuff. That's why I'm referring to that now, right? So in here, logging module, in the logging module, what happens is the handlers and the formatters, you can actually explicitly specify in your Python code, okay? Those are going to be calling the configuration methods, and then you actually create a logging config file, and you read from using the file config function. So these are the modules that are there. On just below the logging module, I'm sure you would be able to see that there is just the flow that I have mentioned. So those are all the 4 things which I just said, stream handler, HTTP handler, file handler, SMTP handler, those sort of things, and where this handler would actually log information. That's what is shown pictorially. Okay, and creating a dictionary of configuration information, passing it is mentioned in the dict config. I try to mention, as much. I try to put in as much information as possible from the logging module in here, so you can always refer this as your cheat sheet. This will be the basic thing. In case you want to refresh, just look at this quick, and you will be able to know. And I have the links as well, so you can always go there. 2-3 times you see this, anybody would know it. That's how easy it is. Okay. So during everyday activity, we refer a lot, every coder, every programmer, so, only until you get into the workplace is how it is. You need to know a certain, if they ask me these questions and I'm not able to answer that kind of thing. Once you're inside, it's pretty easy, because, it'll become like mundane task, certain things, you repeat over and over and over again in your life as a programmer. So naturally, that's like how we know to ride a bike and you remember it for the rest of your life. It's as, I'm relating it to that. Now, logging module allows to differentiate events based on their severity level. You see the different color boxes that I've mentioned. So debug info, warning, error, critical, those kind of thing. So the levels are represented as integers from 0 to 50. I couldn't put everything. I actually had only 5. But there's more. That's why I had in the black, the screenshot that I put in there. That's based on, you can actually review the inside the log file. Instead of reading, you can actually refer based on the color coding. Okay, so based on that, it's actually the colored logs package that enables colored terminal output for Python logging module. Colored formatter class inherits from the logging.formatter and uses, I didn't go over all of the object-oriented concepts, those itself would, can go on for days. So I assume that you know what inherits means, right? And we use ANSI, the American National Standards Institute, ANSI, escape sequence characters to display the logging messages in the color as shown in the screenshot. Okay. That's pretty much it for the theory part. I need to log on. Let me just get rid of the, I'm not sure if you're seeing my camera, but still I'm just closing this so that you can actually view the full screen. Okay. And I don't need this. Let's, one moment. Okay, I joined. I'm going to be sharing my okay. Is everyone able to view my Windows screen now?
Yeah, we are able to see. Yeah.
Hopefully. Okay. Like yesterday and the day before yesterday, I'm going on to the IPython. Okay.
or the Jupyter Notebook, I am going through Anaconda. So like I told you yesterday, it's going to be redirecting it onto the local host. That means the server is running. You see the server that's running here in the black screen. That's like the command prompt. Okay. We're going on to teaching Python, and we're going in here. I want to show you the OS module first. I'm going to be zooming this in a, in a second once it's in there. Because once it's zoomed, I won't be able to. Yesterday, because of the zooming issue, I think something happened. That's why I tend not to touch it. It's so finicky. Sometimes, something happens crazy. Okay. Now, is everyone able to see this? That's good, right? Now, import OS. We are trying to import the OS module. Somebody asked me about the difference between module and package as well. Maybe the last day I will try to show you how you can actually package in Python, but otherwise, those sort of questions. Also, I saw that, there were some thumbs down. I try hard to, make it as interactive as possible. So if there are thumbs down, I don't mind, but I want to know the reason so I can always improve during my next, session. So, I saw like a couple of thumbs down, like 3 or 4 come, like thumbs down. So why is that? I would like to know the reason. Please go on the comments. I don't mind. I would always like to get the feedback from you all. Okay. That's one way of improving, right? We need to improve. So looking at this yesterday as well, I showed you OS module example dot IPython, meaning IPython notebook page. So I have my commands here and I ran it. Say I ran it here, and this is all the environment files. So usually mapping objects, are represented in the user environment module, just as I said. Now this returns, this actually os.environ returns a dictionary. Yesterday we saw tuples, dictionary, those kind of things, right? So it usually returns a dictionary with the user's environment variable as key, which is why we see this part is the key and this is the value. For example, all users profile is the key, and then the colon is separating that with the value. Okay, so I have so much here, so much of, look at that. That's why I don't want to zoom it. Okay, so much of environment variables. Oh my gosh, look at that. Okay. That's the complete list of whatever. So how do we usually do that? In case you want to check your environment, in case you want to check that, you actually go here. If it's Windows, in Linux, it's different. You go to settings, right? And you, what do? You just, if you don't know anything, you just give edit environment variables for your account. So I don't want to do that now though. So I'm just saying that's the way to say it already is here. So we can add, usually for Python, we add, the environment variable, the path and everything. So this would give you the list of whatever is available in the OS. That's what I meant to say. Okay, next would be, I want to show you, look at that. That's OS walk. It's listing the file names in the directory tree. That's why it started from C and it went on. How does it do that? by walking the tree either top down or bottom up, and it returns a 3 tuple. It returns the dir directory path, dir path, directory names, and the file names for each and every directory that's in the tree. Look at that. Okay, since the child asked me what an exception is, I wanted to show that, plus I didn't want to run it for so long, right? So I actually use the keyboard in, look at this, it's interrupted. Okay, keyboard interrupt. And look, try, and look, exception has occurred. And then the only reason why I'm not running it here is it's going to take, each and everything is going to take a while. We have only 1 hour window. I have to rush, okay? I have to be quick now, even now. Sorry, guys. Sorry, girls, too. Sorry, kids. You know, I stopped the kernel, okay? Oh, look at that. How much of, you know, like walk it has done. This os.walk actually walks through each and every directory, and it retrieves everything that's in there. Now, the most important thing that I want to talk about over here is, okay, the exception. And you know, just to answer the kids' question, what is an exception? An exception, I said, is simple an error. But you know, if you want to, you know, like think of more technically, the definition would be an exception is an event which occurs during the execution of a program that disrupts the normal flow of the program instructions. Now, is that clear? So I actually use the keyboard interrupt, and it actually disrupted the execution of the normal program. So this is a perfect scenario of an exception. Okay. That is defined in Python. You know, it's an exception is a Python object that represents an error. In case it's, in this particular case, this is keyboard interrupt. One more inset, okay? Please note on the, you know, that, look at this, Anaconda, lib. So from the first stage session onwards, remember I said I have multiple environments installed, especially for this webinar series. You know, I have Anaconda. When I run my Jupyter notebook through, this particular thing is run through Anaconda. Naturally, it's looking for libraries from the location Anaconda 3 lib. If I run from Python shell IDLE, then as we know, it would always look for my Python that's installed in my C. Yesterday and day before yesterday, I tried to show you, right? You know, it just looks naturally, it goes into wherever the Python's DLL files were, and then we don't want to, you know, save those files, whatever the new code that we were doing. So we just, you know, like navigated to our own directory. Generally, there is no need for multiple environments. But for the purpose of making it clear to you all, my dears, you know, I have all of these and even PyCharm installed, okay, all on this one sturdy laptop. Super, okay. In addition, what else do we have here? Okay, let's just keep talking about other things as well. What else do we have here? We have, you know, process parameters in OSModule, and we have the class and methods that are referenced. Okay, we can check all of this in python.org for OSModule documentation. Okay, as mentioned on a third slide earlier, few, you know, like getting the user ID, the group ID, etc., strictly for use only in Unix and not in Windows. So if we have checked whether, if you want to check if the path, if a specific path of a file exists, then you know, you can use this, you know, if os.path, or whether it's a file. Yesterday we actually, in day 2 basics, we had something called as greetings.txt, right? So we can actually check. So, and look at this, the written value is a Boolean value. That's the out. It's saying output is Boolean value. See, in our notebook, you know, this all is our Jupyter notebook file. So when you're learning, you know, it's better to do this. Okay. Next example. Okay. So I want to show you the next example. The next example will be, so all of this would be the just making use of the functions. So I want to go to the next example. I'm just getting rid of this. And the next one would be, if you want, you can shut down. This is not needed anymore. I want to go into this CSV. Okay, before that, I want to show you the CSV file. Let me show you. Should I show it here or there? Let's just go here. It's better. Okay. So CSV file, as we know, is a comma-separated file, values, comma-separated valued file. So it's usually like an Excel file. So we are going to be importing, okay? We are going to be importing this particular file. This is called as the list of the state universities in India, okay? Which obviously contains your university. I'm going to be showing you that here. This is what I downloaded. Let me just show you. It's in here. Okay, perfect. So this would be my few lines of code. Okay, and you can see your famous university here. Let's just go there. Look. Jawaharlal Nehru Technological University, Kakinada, right? Cool. Initially, I tried looking for CSV files from GeoMRIT website, spent a few minutes, but mostly all of them were PDFs. So I gave up on that. However, I was happy to have found this file since it contains the university that I went to. Let me show you that. Okay. I'm going to go here and then I'm going to try to find the university that I went to. There. Okay. This has information on when this university was even started. So I was an infant then. I was a little baby. Okay, my husband, my brother, we all graduated from there. In addition, I also see, you look at this, I was surprised to see oh my God, what happened? Okay. I was also able to see my father's university right there. That's where my father went to. Okay. Tamil Nadu, the great Tamil Nadu Agriculture University, Coimbatore. My father did his bachelor's, master's, doctorate, all from TNAU, and he received umpteen, medals, trophies in sports, particularly in athletics, and many awards during his academics and, career. He got, the most prestigious Jawaharlal Nehru National Award for Best PhD in 1994. Yeah, he has dedicated his entire life for the student community, and I'm always one proud child to be, talking about my father. I can just go all day. That's not needed now, though. GMRIT is affiliated to Jawaharlal Nehru Technological University. My father's award, your university, all named after a charismatic leader and the first Prime Minister of India. So happy to have found this comma-separated file. Now let's move on to the next one, right? Let's just go on to this. Look. Yesterday, we saw something like underscore. I wanted to mention about that. Now, underscore name, usually when you look at this, right? When you look at this, underscore name and underscore this. Like yesterday, we saw underscore double underscore main double underscore. So those are like the predefined special methods, or called as the dunder methods or the magic methods. Someone asked a question. I sent a wonderful link with the detailed explanation on the comments section, the day 2 YouTube. Please refer them. Also, if at all, okay, if underscore name is sent to main, what happens is then this block actually prevents the code from being run from our module that gets imported. So usually when we have a module that can be actually imported elsewhere, right? Since the main part of the code that's pertaining to this module, just this module, the child module, it doesn't have to be, used there. That's why they have the special underscore name equals main. Okay. So, all right, my dears, let's just move on to the next one. You can actually refer, that's usually these Dunder methods, these sort of naming convention, they use in operate overloading, attribute access, those kind of things. Okay. So let's not worry too much about that because, we say it's not recommended to use those kind of, so as to confuse, the Python interpreter. Now, time to move on to, I'm going to show you something from our IDLE. Okay, I wanted to show this from our IDLE. Remember, this IPython is going to be looking for, oh, this instant, I love it. Okay, now, like I said, one surprise is waiting for you. So by default, say it's going to see, I have Python 3.8.4. So it's Python 3.8 is my directory and it's going there. We don't want to go there. We're just going into day 3 standard. And then I am going to be showing you one important, interesting file. Let's show you this. Life is boring without movies, right? No? Particularly Telugu movies. I like everything about Telugu movies. How they show joint family harmony in every movie, full of positivity, the way it's picturized, songs, dance, production, everything is ultimate about Telugu movies. Telugu actor Power Star Pavan Kalyan sir, Ochara, mi GMR ITko, super kada, that's why I actually put in, so maybe I think you would be interested. That's why I thought I'll put one XML file. This is our XML file. It's the Telugu Movies XML file that I created. I'm going to, when you just click on it, it's going to show it as text file. I don't want that to happen. I'm going to just a browser, any browser, and I'm going to be, showing you. This is my, okay. Oh my goodness, the font size is so little. But anyways, this is our XML file that I created. You can actually, when it comes to web scraping, most of the times it would be, just data, or it could be XML file. It could be any kind of file. Yesterday, I showed you how to manipulate PDF files, text files, all of that. So assuming there is an XML file, but in this case, I created the file. Okay. Let's just talk more about it. So this is your XML file. Everything is under collection, the shelf, and okay. So this is, under the header, shelf equals blockbusters. This is not an XML. We had XML as a subject, so this is not an XML, Okay. Let's just go to, maybe we'll keep it there. And then, okay, this is the code that I want to explain. Okay, movie handler class. Okay, so there are two basic and broadly used API, application programming interface. Lack of time, I'm just, using the abbreviation. Generally, I like to expand everything. But please always, in case you don't understand things, always use a search engine and check. So APIs that are, broadly used to for XML data, those APIs are SAX, that is the simple API for XML. That's what is over here. See, SAX. I'm importing XML SAX. So what happens here is, you register callbacks for, events of interest, and then you let the process proceed through the document, the XML document that I just showed you in the other screen. Okay, this is useful when your documents are large. Keep in mind, we'll also see another example, which would be a little bit different. But, otherwise it's going to retrieve from the same file though. Okay. It just parses, P-A-R-S-E-S, parses the file as it reads it from the disk, and the entire file is never stored in the memory. Okay, that's the way the XML.sax works. However, in the other example that I'm going to, show you in a few seconds, document Object Model API is used, DOM. Okay, this is a World Wide Web Consortium recommendation wherein the entire file is read into the memory and it's stored in a hierarchical tree-based form to represent all the features of an XML document. In the other document, I tried to, like click on some of the headers and then it shrank, right? Did you notice? It just shrank in here, you see? So in the mini DOM or the DOM, what happens is it actually would be storing it in the tree-based form. Okay, let's go back to the code. Okay, I'll let you guys look at the code. Okay, what I was going to say here. Okay, the easiest way to load an XML. Okay, let me show you this. First, let's just run this, okay? I want to show you how this runs. So I am in our IDLE. Remember, you don't have to use any third-party tools or anything. When you install Python, this comes in automatically. So you can actually just run it. Run the module. I'm running the module. Look at that. I am getting information from, I don't want to touch this. Okay, look. I am able to parse the information out of our XML file rather. So this is our file. It's just where? Let me show you. Okay. I got some nice movies in here. I'm not sure if you're able to read that. Bahubali, Darling's movie. And again, Saho. And Allu Arjun, the famous dancer, is this movie. And I have obviously Power Star, Pawan Kalgapar Singh. So it's actually extracting all of this information and listing. So there were two sequels, right? I don't know why I put the word episode, sequels. So our file over here, this code, this few lines of code. So a few seconds ago, I was explaining about $_name $_, okay, equals $_main. So this would be the starting point, right? Now, what's happening is we are calling the parser, and that's actually, this would be the object, okay, and then it is calling our movie handler, and the file that needs to be parsed is the Telugu Movies.xml that just I showed you. Okay, look at that. So this is how it works. Okay, if you want, I can send some of the code, but mostly this code is going to be no use if you know what's going to happen. You can actually refer modules, and once you know, start experimenting yourself. I want to show you the next file. Let me show you. Should I close this? Or maybe just I'll open it here. Okay, this one. Same thing, however, using the XML DOM, DOM. Okay, here's the easiest way, right, to add, load XML quickly. Mini DOM provides a simple parser method. Okay, it's actually this is it. There's no more code. That's it. That's pretty much it. That code was a little bit lengthier, but this is very concise when compared to that. Mini DOM object provides a simple parser method that quickly creates a DOM tree from the XML file. Document element gives you the main element. Okay, it just gives you the main element in the XML document. So, just look at this. This is the document element. I keep on highlighting what happens. Something happens. That's why I want to talk. I'm so sorry. Okay. So document element, this is it. When I highlight, plus I'm not sure if you're able to see that from YouTube. So the small parse, what happens is it calls the parser, and then the function of mini DOM object parses the XML and designate, from the designated file into the document object models tree object. Let me just run that and show you. Okay, I think we are a little bit over time. See, it retrieved the same information. Isn't that cool? Excuse me. Isn't that cool? Okay, sir, do we have any questions? I want to be done with you all. I know you have another session in a few minutes. Yesterday we started 5 minutes late and I dragged you all. I don't want to be too boring. Do we have any questions today, sir?
So 1 minute time.
Arun, sir, are you there?
Ready? Position.
Hello, Arun, sir.
Yeah, ma'am. Screen is shared for questions.
Okay. If not, I'm going to show you another example. Should I continue on or?
Questions shared by screen.
Ma'am, the questions are shared.
Or the questions already? Oh, good. Oh, good. Am I audible to you, sir? Am I audible?
Yeah, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Let me see. Okay. Sys module, flush and flush, clear the buffer. In my program, I was actually taking input through keyboard is pressed, okay, but after that I'm facing fall through. Can you suggest what to do? Okay, my dear Nadraj Das, in a few minutes, I'm going to be actually showing you, I will give you quite a few references to your problem on the YouTube comment section. Okay, my dear? Okay, since your thing is a little bit detailed, I want more, much more, information to provide. So in a few minutes, I'm going to be sharing in as comments. Please refer that. What's the next question? Shubrat Kumar. What are the significant functions that can be done by threading? Threading, multi-threading, there's so much, possibilities are endless. Maybe we will be seeing more of threading in the future. We have 4 more days, right? So we'll be seeing much more. I have more code to show, so we can go with that. Any more questions, sir, after this?
No, ma'am. Only 2 more questions. Only 2 questions.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir. Thank you so much for your time today, sir. I appreciate it. Tomorrow as well, we will start in the same time. We'll go over because there's lots more to talk tomorrow as well. Okay, sir.
Okay, ma'am. Okay.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much, HOD, sir. I appreciate it. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you. Have a good evening, everyone.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for your wonderful session. Thank you all the participants for your on the session, and we will start the next day or the next session by tomorrow evening exactly at the same time 4:30. Thank you one and all. Now I am signing off.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.